It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join News Director Paul David and News Editor Philip Catalfamo as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics in Yavapai County that affect all our lives. And now here's today's Countywide.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catalfamo. I'd like to thank you for joining me. On today's show, we're talking 2020 school year, and my guest in studio today is Yavapai County School Superintendent Tim Carter. Mr. Carter, welcome back.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
Well, we've got a lot to talk about, so we're going to start with this. Where are we on the Mingus and Cottonwood Oak Creek consolidation as of today?
Well, as of today, we are anticipating an election in November of 2020 and the general election date on November 3rd. The committee has filed their paperwork. Nobody challenged it. And so I'm waiting now. The first date that the statute allows me to actually call the election is July 3rd. Okay. And my plan at this point, unless a court tells me otherwise, and I don't see any rationale behind that at this point, we'll call that election on July 3rd for November 3rd.
Now, what is this, if this consolidation goes through, what does that mean for parents, teachers, and kids?
Well, basically it is a request to consolidate Cottonwood Oak Creek Elementary School District and Mingus Union High School District. Clarkdale Jerome, who is the other elementary district that feeds into Mingus Union, would basically remain an independent school district. But they also have to vote in this election because they're part of the union. So all three of those districts, effectively, the voters will have a voice in this. Mm-hmm. So the Clarkdale Jerome voters are voting, first of all, to disband the union so that Mingus Union ceases to exist. And then they would simply retain their status as an independent school district. The Cottonwood voters and the Mingus voters on the Cottonwood side would be voting to terminate Mingus Union and to consolidate Cottonwood Oak Creek with Mingus Union, creating a brand new unified school district. So the voters in each of those three districts have a say, and all three of them effectively would have to agree.
Okay. So if it goes to vote and it doesn't pass, do anything change? Does anything change? Do we just go back to what we had and we just go again next year? What happens there?
If any of those entities vote no, then the current status quo, what we have right now, will remain. Okay. If all three vote yes, then as of July 1st of 2021, Mingus Union and Cottonwood Oak Creek would literally cease to exist. And those two combined boards would be put together into a new unified board, so it would be a 10-member board. And they would then make decisions for this new unified school district.
Any schools would change at all? Would any schools disband, or would you still basically be about the same amount of schools if the consolidation goes through?
Great question. And the answer is it would be up to that unified board. Okay. So that's part of the problem in the process that we have to go through, is I have to create a publicity pamphlet. And the statute tells me the things that have to be included. So we kind of have to draw up an outline of where we are right now. What does the status quo look like? And what do we think it might look like if this consolidation is approved? And so on things like governance, that's pretty easy because the statute tells us that. On things like finances, it's fairly easy, even though people can argue the numbers if they want to. But on things like the number of schools and teachers and where the students would go and all those kind of things, that would be completely up to that unified board.
What about governing boards? You mentioned off air you wanted to talk a little bit about governing boards. So let's talk about that. What's going on with the governing boards? Well,
countywide we have 138 governing board seats, and about 64 of those are up for election in this cycle. And so in addition to the consolidation vote, the folks in this part of the Verde Valley would also be voting for governing board members from Mingus Union, and it looks like there will potentially be a contested race there. And the same thing in Cottonwood Oak Creek. So both of those districts, I think right now have 4 candidates for 3 seats. And we won't know until July 6th, which is the last filing deadline, as to how many of those folks actually file their paperwork. But if everybody who's pulled a packet actually files their paperwork, both of those districts would have a contested election. Clarkdale Jerome at this point does not have enough candidates to fill all their seats. So we'll see what happens within the next week and a half or so. But in that case, if they only have 2 people for 3 seats, then we would cancel that election, and then we would have to go through an appointment process to find that 3rd person. The Valley Academy Career and Technical Education, I think out of their 4 seats that are open, I think 3 of them currently have candidates. So it will be there will be a lot for voters to decide.
Okay. So probably the biggest thing on everybody's mind is COVID-19 and where we're at with schools right now. So we have seen a rise in cases recently. Is this going to affect schools opening on time in this sort of new school year, or is that going to change anything? Where are we at with that?
Well, for those folks who know me well, they know that I always like to be able to give a black or white answer. It's either yes or no. And unfortunately, for the last several months, I've been telling people I don't know a lot. And unfortunately, that's still the answer.
Okay.
I can give some background, though, that I think is important. I think all of the schools in the Verde Valley want to open, and they want to open on time. I mean, there's just no doubt about that. I've been meeting weekly with the superintendents in the Verde Valley, and they have spent a lot of time and energy into talking about all the various things that school districts would have to make decisions about. So universally, they want to start, and they want to start on time. Now, what that's going to look like is going to be different district to district. I think there will be a lot of commonalities in the Verde Valley, but there will be some differences. But if we look at the rest of the county and statewide, I don't know of any 2 districts that are planning right now on doing exactly the same thing. So what we're waiting on right now is several things. Many of the districts are doing a survey of parents to try to understand where the parents are and what they want, and that's a good thing for boards to know, administrations. Right. The second thing is many of the groups in Arizona, including the county school superintendents, have provided a fairly detailed list to the governor's office, to the state superintendent, to the state legislature, and the state board. The county school superintendents had a list of about 10 things that were budgetary and about 10 things that were non-budgetary that we believe that the state has to make decisions on to create flexibility for school districts. We are really hoping that the governor will issue some type of an executive order sooner than later. We do not think that the legislature will be called back into special session in June or July for various reasons. We think the earliest that would happen would be after the primary election, which would be in the first week in August. By that time, schools are already started, and so relief at that point, I mean, would be good, but when you've already started under one plan and then have to dramatically make a change, that would be tough to do. So we're hoping that the governor, and we have some indication from his office that he will do this. We don't know exactly what it'll look like. We don't know exactly what issues he's going to provide guidance on. But there are several issues that need to be addressed. Everything from, is there liability immunity for school districts that take a position that might not be popular? What do we do about counting attendance? What do we do about calendars? Do we have to stay with the number of days and minutes? And so it really is just going to be dependent on what he wants to do.
Well, depending on what Doug Ducey wants to do, we still got a lot to talk about regarding COVID-19 in the 2020 school year. Countywide, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Orkin has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses Orkin's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the Orkin man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona Orkin and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
Award-winning Soundbites Grill is an entertainment restaurant located in Uptown Sedona at the Hyatt Pinion Point Resort. Open for lunch and dinner, featuring fresh fish, all-natural hand-cut beef, even a full vegan menu. Family friendly, open 11:30 to 9. Late dining on Friday and Saturday. Soundbites Grill has some of the best views of the Sedona Red Rocks. Offers world-class entertainment, food, fun, and music.
Are you struggling to overcome an addiction, depression, insomnia, or a weight problem? Then it's time for you to meet with Dr. Elaine Kissel, award-winning, world-renowned hypnotherapist, author, and mind trainer. Now you can get her help from the privacy and comfort of your own home. Let Elaine Kissel create a personalized hypnotherapy plan to overcome your problem forever. Call 844-4KISSEL now for a discounted evaluation appointment. That's 844-4KISSEL.
So, I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Hello and welcome back to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catafamo. On today's show, we're talking 2020 school year, and my guest in studio today is Yavapai County School Superintendent Tim Carter. Before we went to break, we were talking about Governor Doug Ducey and some of the exemptions he may have to put in place so that schools can hopefully have some sort of school year with certain things. So let's talk about some of those exemptions. What are some of the things that you're hoping Governor Ducey can sign off on and get things going?
Well, one of the big portions that we're dealing with is what's called ADM, Average Daily Membership. That is the number of students that are actually in a seat in a classroom. And that's a big part of the funding formula in Arizona. So the more students I actually have in my building during a 100-day window is pretty important. So one of the flexibilities is what's going to happen at the beginning of the school year where parents may actually be shopping around for a school. There's something that they've found out that they don't like, and so they're going to go to a different school, and then maybe they come back to the original school. I mean, we don't know what that's going to look like. So instead of using the very first day of school to the 100th day, what we're suggesting is let's have any 100 consecutive days during the 180-day school year. And that would give schools flexibility for the students that may be coming in and going out. But it's that type of flexibility that we need. There's all sorts of different configurations on the school calendar. You can go any place from 144 days a year, which is a traditional 4-day week. Most of our schools are 180-day, but we have some year-round models that are as far out as 235 days. So right now, if a school who's on a traditional 180-day calendar wants to say, all right, we want to go to a 4-day calendar because it gives them more flexibility, that would take probably a 90-day window at very best to get approved, and there's no guarantee it would be approved. What we're suggesting is let the governing board of each school district make that decision and fund whatever calendar they pick. It's those kinds of things that would give school districts a lot more control over saying, we're not going to start till October. Or maybe we want to go double sessions and we actually want to go to school Monday through Saturday, and the kids might go every other day, or they might go for Monday through Wednesday and the other students might go Thursday through Saturday. Governing boards need the ability to have flexibility to do what works best on their specific campus.
What about AOI?
AOI is Arizona Online, and that is a funding mechanism for school districts that teach online. They use a virtual platform, whatever that might look like. So what happened last year when the schools were closed for a 9-week period effectively, many schools either sent home packets to the kids, or if the kids were able, they went online and did their work that way. Well, there was an exemption last year with Senate Bill 2910. It created that exemption for schools, and so you could do either or a little bit of both. 2910 expired. So that's another one of those things that we think that the governor needs to extend to give schools that ability. Because right now, if I'm a traditional school district, I only get paid if that student is in that seat So if I'm providing that instruction at home in a virtual network and that child doesn't come on campus, I technically don't get paid for that student.
Yeah.
And so that puts school districts in a really tough situation because we've already got a budget, we've already got teachers hired, people are expecting on a livelihood, and all of those things are dependent upon getting some of these legal flexibilities that we don't have currently.
It seems like there's going to be a lot of ramifications there if you're not being able to pay teachers without having the students there. So hopefully we get that all squared away with Governor Ducey. Are you guys worried at all about retention? I know that there's some classrooms that will be maybe have less students, some will be online, some won't. Scattered schedules we've heard as well. Are you worried at all about retention? About you're going to have those kids who maybe don't care as much, but are you worried that you're going to have those kind of issues with kids really focusing this school year and maybe just, writing it off?
Yes, we're concerned about that. Retention is an issue. Retention of the students is an issue from the standpoint of, are we retaining them in the school? Then the potential retention in a grade or graduating if they don't meet certain requirements. Those are issues. Retention of teachers. I mean, that is a significant issue. If we have teachers that either become ill and can't continue, or for whatever reason the school goes to a virtual platform and they don't have the expertise in that platform, Arizona's had a problem with recruiting teachers for the last several years, as many states have, and certainly the Southwest. So that's not a new issue. This just simply compounds it significantly. There's concern about substitutes, and our office now, for almost every school district in Yavapai County, handle all the substitutes. The good news is right now our substitute numbers are actually up.
That's good.
We've got more subs right now than we've ever had before. But we'll see what that looks like when we actually put the boots on the ground and have to start covering classes.
Now, we do know a couple counties and towns and cities are requiring masks. Prescott Valley is not, but Flagstaff is. So if I go to a school in in Flagstaff, am I going to be required to wear a mask? Are we going to just allow the schools to decide that, or is it going to just roll off what the counties and towns decided? How are we deciding that?
That is a great question. I actually have submitted that question to the Yavapai County Attorney's Office.
Okay. They've
given me some preliminary guidance, but we don't have any kind of a written opinion, and we may not actually get one. Basically, what their suggestion is that may also be one of those case-by-case issues. So what you would have to do initially is you'd actually have to look at the resolution that, using Flagstaff as example, what did their resolution actually say? So did it say that schools were excluded? Did it not mention schools? And did it say all residents or all people occupying an area in the city of Flagstaff are subject to this? So the language of some of these things become the determining factor about whether it would apply to schools is not. Realize that school district governing boards are political subdivisions in their own right, just like a city is. And so it would be difficult, and I think somewhat unusual, for a city to impose a city statute over a school district or a fire district or a water district within their jurisdiction. But again, we're on uncharted ground here. So what I would suggest to everybody is look at that particular resolution and see what that language includes. And hopefully that could also be something that could be in Governor Ducey's guidance.
We're going to continue our conversation with Yavapai County School Superintendent Tim Carter on the other side of this break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Starting in the late 1920s, Grandpa Gettle and his brothers laid the groundwork for what would become a family legacy. Almost 100 years and 100 patents later, Gettle's High Desert Mechanical continues to raise the bar of quality heating, cooling, and plumbing products and services in the Verde Valley.
Call Gettle's High Desert Mechanical Heating, Air Conditioning, and Plumbing at 567-2200 or online at GettlesHDM.com, providing solutions for your comfort. Don't settle, get Gettles.
Hi, this is Greg at Verde Solar Power. You know, Arizona has lots of clean, renewable sunshine, and we want to help you take advantage of it with our quality solar installations, and we offer to beat any written offer on a residential solar electric system. So bring us your electric bill and let us show you how solar power will save you money. We're located conveniently here in the Verde Valley and are dedicated to helping the valley go solar. So remember, the energy solution comes up every morning.
So, I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Orkin has pest control down to a science.
When your business chooses Orkin's Precision Protection Program, you get a tailored pest control program for your specific industry and environment.
Your business can benefit from over a century of experience, training, and scientific knowledge that define the Orkin man.
Maximum protection, minimum exposure, backed by one of the industry's most comprehensive guarantees.
Choose your locally owned and operated Northern Arizona Orkin and get more than an exterminator. Get an expert.
Welcome back to Countywide. I'm your host, Philip Catafamo. On today's show, we've been talking about the 2020 school year. My guest in studio today is Yavapai County School Superintendent Tim Carter. Mr. Carter, we're going to start with this to end out our final segment. If a parent pulls their kid out of school to homeschool them because of COVID concerns, but later on, if the numbers flatten out or they feel more confident about sending their kid to school in the middle of that weird new school year, are they going to be allowed to send their kid back to school, or is it going to be, you're going to have to wait until the start of next year? What happens with that situation?
Well, the typical answer to that question is going to be yes, they're going to be able to readmit the student to school. The process is not real complicated, but there is a process to it. So the parent would need to withdraw the student. They would need to go to our office or to go on our website, ycsa.com. And there's a homeschooling page there, and there is an affidavit that they would have to fill out. And that's really all there is to it. I mean, it's a one-page document that they have to submit to us. What parents need to realize is they then are completely responsible for providing education to the child and the cost of that. So the state doesn't provide any additional funding for those folks. And then it really is going to be up to them whether that child remains in homeschooling or whether they return the child to the original school or a different school. We always suggest to them to keep very good records as to what the instruction is about, how the student was assessed, the textbooks, and those kind of things. Because when they go back to school, the question is going to be, is that school going to accept those credits while the student was being homeschooled? And if they can prove what was being done, the likelihood is yes. Now, they may have to take an assessment of some kind, but that's going to be up to the individual school within what the statute requires. And yes, we are definitely seeing an increase in homeschooling without any doubt.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question was, do you think that there's going to be an increase in homeschooling? And it seems to be that there probably will be.
Well, it's very fluid. We're seeing people come in, we're seeing people go out. But the numbers are on the rise. We're probably up 8 to 9% since probably March of 2020.
Yeah, and that would be kind of the assumption. There would be, parents concerned about COVID. Even you and I, we're not going to shake hands after this because of COVID. I can't imagine having to make that decision to send my kid to maybe a cesspool of COVID-19 potentially. So I wouldn't be shocked if there was a rise in homeschooling. A lot of people probably will be looking into that. We covered a lot.
We have.
We covered a lot.
We have.
I will ask, maybe we can just get a quick, brief answer on this. The internet issue, the internet accessibility, I know you mentioned that's got a very long explanation to it, but we just got a couple more minutes. Were we able to somewhat put some sort of solution to that with internet accessibility?
Well, I guess there's 2 points here. First of all, the schools, we think, have the broadband capacity and the expertise to be able to deliver instruction to parents at home. The issue is, do parents have the ability, do they have a device? Do they have the connectivity? Can they afford the broadband in the quantity they need? And are they in a geographical area to even access it? And so those are issues that we're dealing with. Yeah. You have to take each one of those issues and try to solve them independently, but we've been fairly successful at working through those things. But we certainly know that not all of our students, not even close, are going to be able to access instruction online.
Well, like I said, Mr. Carter, that was a lot to cover, and wish we could talk for another 30 more minutes, but that is the end of the show. So, Mr. Carter, I want to thank you very much for coming on once again. YCESA is the website, then is ycesa.com. Contact Mr. Carter with any of your issues. I'm going way too long on this outro, so I'll say this. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you again next time.